Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to some of the final hangouts on air we'll be having with the intermediate learners in the annual learning community program. My name is Solomon. I'm the program manager for the annual learning community from the Google end. And today we'll be having a very exciting session with some of our very amazing experts, Android developer experts from the Andela end. So we have Moyi, we have Segun, Famisa, and we have our programmers, our ever amazing program assistants. About three of them on the call right now, and the super amazing Chimdimdu Aneke, the program manager from the Andela end. So quickly, I would pass over to everyone, starting with Chimdi to introduce themselves, and then move on to our speakers. Over to you, Chimdi. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
To introduce themselves. I think we are off air. It's not live here.
Yes, go on, please. We are live.
Oh, okay. So my name is Chimdi, like you all know. You have all seen.
Okay, since we are losing Chimdi, I'll quickly pass to the speakers. Can we go quickly with Segun? Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Segun Famisa. I'm a senior technical consultant at Andela. I build Android apps and I like to run and fight karate.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. So quickly, Moin, can you please introduce yourself? I also hope you're not a karate fighter also.
Well, I learned that in camp, so yeah. Hi everybody, I am Adeyemi. I am an Android developer at Upgrade Electric. What do I do for fun? I just wake up and decide to run a half marathon.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Aneke, can we have you now?
Okay.
Please turn on your camera.
Yeah. So Chimdi Aneke, leading the LC program from the Andela end as the program manager. Great to be with you all once again. Should I also say what I do for fun? So one of the things I do for fun is to sketch. I love doodling. I do that a lot.
Okay, cool. That's really cool. I think I'm the one that hasn't said anything. What I do for fun. I think I love talking. Okay, I love talking for fun. Don't mind me. Anyway, the program assistant. Can we quickly have David introduce himself?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Aja David, the program assistant for the Northern region. Thank you. And what I do for fun is that I love drinking water.
This is exciting, actually. Okay.
So, thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining, David. Chizoba, can we have you quickly?
Good day, guys.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Good day, everyone. I'm Chizoba, program assistant for South and Southeast. What I like doing for fun is actually watching sitcom comedies.
Wow, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay, Chioma, can you quickly go? I'm trying to see. We can't hear you, Chioma. You're muted.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chioma. It's great to be here again with you guys. What I love doing for fun, I love mapping.
Oh,
Map.
cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, Chioma. So right now we have about 16 viewers on the live Hangout on air, and we'll jump quickly into the program of the day. So just a brief of what we're doing today. As I earlier said at the beginning of the call, today we'll be tackling major challenges you guys are having in the ALC program. As we all know that next week is our our exam mock week, where we'll be trying to see what the exam looks like, the actually undergraduate certification exam, what it looked like, and getting a bit of tips from graduates in the program from other regions. I mean, those are things we have planned for next week. But this week, what we want to tackle is the various challenges you're having with the course content at this point. So, questions around content providers and what have we. And recently, we have a few of our learners having challenges with their final project, which is a baking app project. So feel free to throw your questions either on the live chat channel or using the slido.com using the code ALC. Already we've shared that details with you via email, so you can look through your email to check that again. Going on quickly, I'll just dive quickly into the background of experts. I'll start with Segun and then Moyi. Quickly hear a bit about their background. I'll move straight into the questions and answer session. So quickly, Segun, can we quickly hear a bit about your background, how you started coding, what it was like, the challenges you had while you were learning? Just a brief in the next 2 minutes. Thank you. Over to you, Segun.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Solomon. So I started doing Android a while back. And I attended a short boot camp at some point in my university where we learned about building mobile apps in general. Then it was Java ME apps, and we used to build S40 and S60 for apps for Nokia phones. So that was my initial entry into mobile programming, and then a few years later, I discovered the Android platform, and I've been doing Android since then. And one of the major challenges I personally had when I was learning it was because it was fairly new then. There were not many Android developers around. Most people were still building Java apps for Java phones. So there was very little people. There were very few people I could reach out to for when I had challenges. Very few resources on the internet. And another challenge I had then was that I had too many books. So when I was learning from multiple resources at the same time. So I often got overloaded with information. I didn't know what to do next. I was basically jumping from resource to resource to resource, even though there were not so many as we have now. But I was not coordinated in my learning. And I guess that was because I didn't have a strict curriculum to follow. I was just learning haphazardly on my own. So I think that was the greatest challenge I had. So that's it from me.
Wow, cool. I mean, that's a very good one. I think a few of our learners can identify with some of that. Because of our time, I'll quickly pass to Moyi to quickly share experience.
Okay, unfortunately, my story is not too different because I also started with J2ME phones, and then that's through the GDGOE community, which was really active at the time. And then I moved on into front-end web and then finally settled on Android development. And I think I've been there since like 2014, 15, and I'm doing that professionally now. Sorry, it's not an interesting story, but you have to do.
Wow, that's cool. I think that for me, that still sounds very interesting. Okay, so without much ado, I'll jump straight into the question. So I would only choose the very important questions from the lot. I have it projected on the screen already. So one of the questions with the top votes is let's both Segun and Moyi. So what are the opportunities for Android devs in the Nigerian space? Are there high-paying jobs for Android devs in this part of the world? Who would like to answer this question? Segun, would you like to go first? Moyi, what about you?
Okay, I'll take it first. Okay, so I think there are a lot of opportunities in the Nigerian Android dev space because we've not solved all our problems, and so far there are still problems, and there are still apps to be built. That's the truth. I think high paying now depends on how much you are talking about. Like Anedi says, if you want to earn Amroba salary, then you should. I'm not sure I'll be very honest, I'm not sure Nigerian companies can really pay Amraba salaries. And even if they can, there'll be a limit to it. But then I think you shouldn't, although money is important, but it also depends on what you need to get out of that job. If you're a beginner, I don't think you should be asking this kind of questions yet. I think you should focus more on building stuff that you can add to your portfolio. And then if you need opportunities and you are that good, thank God work is not limited to your physical location now. So if you feel some salary is too small for you, you can look for other opportunities. And if you are good enough, you earn what you think you should be earning. But if you're just starting out, I think you should first focus on working somewhere that allows you to build great stuff that you can reference later on. That's all for me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that before I move on quickly. Okay. So I'll take that as it's perfectly answered. So moving on quickly, I've been trying to select the very important questions in the lot. So we have a lot of top voted questions, but I'm trying to see the ones that are really technical, because that's one of the goals of this call. So someone is asking a question, said, what makes widgets not work as expected? Currently having difficulties with widgets. Segun, would you like to maybe give some tips on using widgets in Android apps?
Well, the question seems a bit ambiguous in my opinion. There could be a whole lot of things that might be responsible. If the person is listening, it would be great if you could provide some more context about the question. I mean, I typically can't think of the things that could possibly go wrong.
Wow, cool. So I think basically, if there's a library maybe that you've been using to implement, I don't know, maybe a library or I don't know, if there is maybe a best practice around implementing widgets that you like to share.
Okay, so I think the major thing with widgets is making sure it gets updated as often as you get information. So for the Yoruba Watch Faces, I have to reference article. That's an example. I had to make sure that it was updated every minute because time changes. The time I put on it, the time I displayed on it changed every minute. So that could be one major stumbling block. But if you are getting stuff from the server, you are getting push responses from the server, then you want to make sure that as soon as your app gets it, you push it to the widget. And then as soon as your widget displays it, when the user clicks on that widget, it takes them to the exact screen you want them to go to in the app. That's like the major difficulty I can think of right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Moyi. So I think it's a question on performance. I'm trying to quickly get that. Okay, so let me talk about this one quickly. So Emmanuel I can't really pronounce the surname, so I'll just hold off that. He said, what are the points of vulnerability of an Android application when you talk about security in Android? Where should be a major point of focus? I don't know. I think this is a bit maybe ambiguous or vague, but I don't know. Would anyone like to say a few things about security in Android and what you would suggest?
Yes, I can take this. Segun here. So there are a couple of tips to have in mind when you're thinking about security and vulnerability in your Android applications. First of all, as you know, the Android binary, the Android software that people install in their phones is an APK, which is essentially like a zip folder, like a zip file. And you can access the compiled classes and executables that Android packages. So one thing that generally people try to do is when you try to protect your app against reverse engineering, because since it's Java, it could be decompiled and basically your source code will be exposed. But there are a few measures one can take to guard against that. And the most common one is to use an obfuscation technique, which is basically something called, there's a tool in Android called ProGuard. You probably have seen it in your apps in somewhere, but you did not pay attention to it. So ProGuard can help obfuscate your code, and that means it's going to make it difficult to read the source code in case your app gets reverse engineered. So if I take your app and I reverse engineer it, if you did not apply ProGuard or any other obfuscation technique, I'll be able to see your source code, all your API keys, all your secrets, all those things. I'll be able to see them. And I can clone your app and use it for whatever malicious reasons I have. So it's usually good to use ProGuard whenever you are releasing an app into the wild. There are other forms of it. There's DexGuard, but that's paid. So ProGuard is like the free version that comes with Android, and you can use, basically you can use it with any Java project as well, but it's used on Android. Also, in addition to that, is in terms of best practices, is to avoid keeping sensitive information on the device unencrypted or in plain text. For example, if a user signs in your app and you don't want them to keep signing in every time, and you say, oh, okay, let me just save their password in the app, and then every time they open the app, I sign them in the background. A lot of people might think that is a quick way to get around it, but it actually makes your app more vulnerable. Even more vulnerable if you save those sensitive information in shared preferences. Shared preferences are string type. It's a kind of persistence where you store string types of information, strings, booleans, integers, but it's a text file. So basically, if my phone is rooted, I could pull out the text file and see all the things you saved in my shared preferences. So you don't want to save sensitive information in things like shared preferences. But if you must do it, you should make it private so that no third-party app will be able to access the shared preferences. But the list goes on and on. There are a lot of things you can do to make your app more secure. There's no exhaustive list, but just to try and reduce the chances of your app being vulnerable. That's it for me.
Cool. Thank you very much, Segun. I think that gives a bit of an insight into security on Android. So to move on quickly, sorry, I'm having a bit of a challenge. I don't know if anyone would like to maybe add to that before I delve into another question. Okay, I guess none. So moving on quickly, there's another question, which is, I think this is a general question. So how do you see the trajectory of mobile app development? vis-a-vis cross-platform frameworks like React Native, Flutter, and the likes? I don't know if anyone would like to go for this question.
Okay, so I think they all have their uses, and so if you need, like, if you're in a team and you have a web developer and you need an app like yesterday, and the app is not doing much with the devices platform functions, then I think you can go with cross-platform first to at least get to market and then see how your app behaves. But it also depends. There's no one answer to this thing. So it depends on, first of all, what your app is supposed to do and the audience you are targeting, I think. I don't think there's one answer to this, but once you've studied those two, you'll be able to determine which will be better for you or your company.
Okay. Okay, so that sounds fair enough. I don't know if anybody would like to add to that quickly.
Can I add something?
Please go ahead, Chizoba.
Okay, so from my perspective, I also agree with what Moin said. If your business, you probably do not have enough time to write an Android app, so you should just easily use cross-platform to get your product the market. You are just to go with your Android.
Okay, I didn't really get that. I think we lost you a bit, but we can have you later on. Thank you very much, Chizoba. So moving on quickly, I'll be coming back to this question for Moyi because we'll be having Segun jump out around 4:30. So I want to quickly address questions that will be directed at him before he jumps out. So I think there's one for Segun and Moyi. But let me talk about this first. Okay, so he said, please, how do you encourage people to learn and use native mobile dev, Android, as opposed to CPDs, such as Xamarin for mobile development? I think it's similar to the one we just answered, but maybe in a different way. So what's the use of using Android, like creating apps using Android Studio, rather than using cross-platform tools like Xamarin and the likes? Segun, would you like to go for this quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi again. So if you're asking as a developer, like which one should you learn? Say you should learn the native approach first. If you're comfortable enough, then you can explore other opportunities, alternatives, and you can explore Xamarin, you can explore React Native. But you discover that at some point, those other good alternatives require some knowledge of Android SDK approach with Java or Kotlin or whatever. You'll still end up needing those that knowledge. So if you're thinking of learning, I would say you should go the full native, fully supported Android approach. If you're comfortable enough and you're proficient enough, you can now delve into the other approaches. Yeah, that's. But if you're asking as like a business owner or like you have an idea, you have an app you want to build, you probably can. When you give, if you need to get out to market early, you might just do your version 0.1 with a hybrid thing and immediately start building native because of the limitations in the hybrid version. I think that's it.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much, Segun. So let me quickly ask one other question directed to Segun. So what's the best way to use API keys? So this is directed to you, Segun. So what's the best way to use API keys? I don't know if you would like that quickly.
So the best way to save API keys, it's actually tricky. There is no that sense. It's just most likely the most difficult way. for someone to access your API keys. But primarily, first of all, you don't store them in your code base. First of all, that's like the first point of API keys. You don't store them with your Java code. If you using GitHub or Git for your repository management or for your code versioning system or something, you should not commit your API part of the source code. Because if the platform you are working on gets hacked or somehow your source code gets exposed, they won't have access to the API keys. Alternatively, the best way, the easiest and best way is to really obfuscate your app when you're publishing, because obfuscation turns the variable names and all those things, it turns them into really random characters. And so it's, even if I'm looking at something, I really don't know what it is. A class, a variable that's called API key, when you obfuscate it might be CDF. So it's really difficult for someone to know what exactly it is. There are probably a few other approaches that you can try, that you can experiment. Maybe reading the API keys from a service. I'm not sure if that's worth the hassle anyway, but it's a possible approach.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Segun. So don't mind me, I want to quickly, so I think we have 3 more minutes to spend with Segun before he heads out. So Segun needs to attend to a few other things apart from this, and yeah. So another one is this: say you are well versed in Android dev and a couple of other languages. How do you learn and keep up with new stuff? What's your daily schedule like? So maybe just a tip, personal tip from you, Segun, on how you plan your day, manage your day, and still get to do cool stuff. I would like you to also maybe answer this question, including how you do your technical writing. So how you go ahead to do technical content, technical writing, and all of that. Because the question related to that. So you can just put that together into one. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. So first of all, I don't think I'm really versed in Android dev. Everyone is still just learning, trying to get better. So there's no such thing as well versed. But yes, I keep up with new stuff that come up. I do that by following a lot of. I subscribe to a lot of newsletters. I subscribe to posts. I subscribe to Google Developer Experts, Googlers. I subscribe to their posts. So whenever they write a new post on their blog, read our Feedly, and I'm able to read it on my own. So I read a lot of Android articles every day that people are thinking about what they are writing and things like that. I learn new stuff, and I follow conferences. Even if I don't attend in person, I try to follow the tweets from the conferences. So Twitter is a very good resource for me. I follow all my favorite Android developers on Twitter, so I see what they're up to. So that's how I keep up. About writing technical articles, the main idea behind the technical articles is wanting to give back to the community. I remember when I was learning Android dev, I was stuck with books, and books were big and long, and I couldn't solve some small issues very easily. So I thought I should give back to the community. So but the way I do it is, if I have any challenge that is giving me any issue, anything that's basically worrying me in my daily work, I have a list of things I want to write about. So I just add it to the list. If there's anything new that I add it to the list, and then when I have time, I go through my list and then look at experiments, and then I try it out. And if it goes well, I write about it. So that's usually my flow. Writing technical articles.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you very much. So, you should jump out now. But can we have one last question for you, Segun? Is he okay?
Sorry?
I said, I know you should jump out right now, but can you answer one more question?
I can take one more. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, there's this one about criticizing SQLite and people recommending database like RemDB. So, what's your take on this?
Okay. This is my personal opinion. I don't see why people are criticizing SQLite. My favorite, but I think SQLite is good enough. It works and is good enough for almost any average application. Yes, people say Realm is faster. Realm is faster actually because it's native, but it also has its own downsides. If you add Realm to your app, you're increasing your APK size a lot of percentage. For example, in some cases, you might get up to 30% or 40% increase in your APK size just by using Realm. Because Realm is a native library and uses the binary files. So it attaches the binary files to your APK. So your APK grows really large. And the APKs, the binaries could be split into for different architectures. So maybe you're having an ARM processor, or you have an Intel processor in the device and a lot of other processors, whatever it is. The binaries most times are CPU specific because they are native and very low level stuff. So if you just build your binary, it contains a lot of binary files that might not even be useful to whoever is downloading the app. There are techniques of going around it, but most people just don't care. So everything that appears good has its downsides, and one of the downsides for me for Realm is that to the APK size. But that said, Realm is easy to use, and you won't write any SQL query. You can get away with writing SQL queries for Realm. You can also faster than SQLite, but I still insist that unless you are working with a lot of data, which you probably shouldn't be doing on mobile, you really can do anything you want to do with Realm with SQLite. Just that you'd have to write a lot more SQL queries, which is good. It's not a bad thing in itself. Once you get your model structure correctly and your database is well structured, I think it could be nearly as performant as RealmDB. So don't let the criticisms get to you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks, Segun. Just a quick one would be to say, last week we had Segun and Moyi speaking at an event in Lagos on Kotlin. So if you've not seen that, or I don't know if there's a video recording somewhere, you should try to look out for that because these guys are really amazing. The final one will be to say thank you very much, Segun, for making our time to join us today and for helping to answer all this question. We hope to reach out to you soon in future for similar or even better opportunities. Thank you very much and have a great weekend and happy holidays.
All right,
bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Moyi.
Yep.
Sorry, I've been so silent without disturbing you. I don't know if you want to also add a few things to the question on RemDB and SQLite. Do you want to? Or should we move on quickly?
Well, Segun has covered most of it, but I would also like to add that there is now like the latest DB that is it depends a lot on the Android life cycle, and it's even a lot safer than SQLite. So if you don't want to use Realm, you can check out Room. ROOM.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Moyi. So moving on, so as time goes on, what we'll try to do is maybe get a few of these resources and share with the learners in the course of their learning. So there's a question for Moyi. So the question is, Moyi, how do you manage to grow the user base of your app with time? What are the skill sets and what do I need to adopt? This one is from Smart.
You know, when I saw that question, I had to go and check the app they were referring to. And I actually have only 500 to 1,000 downloads. So I think that question is for the wrong person. I don't have 1 million downloads yet, but okay, so that's on the lighter side. But so what I did was I listened to the users. When I first came out with the app, I had only an app for Android Wear, and I could count the number of people who had Android Wear devices on my two hands. And then people were complaining, leaving me 1-star reviews on Google Play because they couldn't run the app on their phone. It's not like the app was crashing; they just couldn't run it, and I was getting 1-star reviews. So I went back and thought, how can I make this available for everybody, even if you don't have a watch? I then came up with a version 2 of the app and made it available on Android phone. So if you have a phone, if you have a watch, you can run the app. And I'm sure that's one of the major reasons that people went back to download the app. So that's just one example of how you can grow your user base. In a typical standard Android development organization, you have you put events in your app such that when people click on stuff, you know whether they click on it, you know where exactly the app crashed. Then you can also ask for feedback directly. Go into the field, talk to your users, know what they want, know what they don't like. You can also study their behavior. So there was something that happened at work recently. We had like a form in our app, and then we wanted to collect only numbers. And we found out people were also writing text, which was funny. So we thought maybe these people actually want to talk to us. So we added another space to like the page where people could also write text. And it turned out people actually needed to leave feedback in the app. That's like another way you can grow your user base. And then please make sure your app doesn't crash. If I use your app and it crashes like 3 times, that's the end. I'm uninstalling it. So a combination of all these things make it give you the numbers you're looking for. You also have to consider download size. So if you have like a 500 MB app, nobody's going to download that. You have to think of your users, make sure it works, make sure your designs are good, make sure the experience is good, and then also ask them to give you 5 stars and share the word.
Wow, cool. That was really interesting and helpful.
Okay.
So I'll quickly add a few things and then push to Aneke, since he's our UX design expert and he knows more. I was going to say one quick thing is, when you're designing your app, design with the user in mind, and that is user experience. Okay. So Aneke is vast with this, and I'll push to him in a bit to talk about that. One other tip I would love to push to all of us is, when you're creating a app, start with solving a major problem that users are currently thinking of. Apps that have actually generated a large number of downloads are apps that users see as a day-to-day need, something they really need for a day-to-day living. So think of a problem in your locality. It could be so minute. Think of that and then create a product. I think that can also help generating traction for your app. A final one would be there are several less expensive media of even advertising your app. So that could be the last thing to think of. Investing your own money even to promote your app to an extent. If you feel your app is really worth it, use tools like Facebook, Google AdWords if you want to promote it. A bit of background knowledge is enough for you to do something amazing. So Aneke, please, what do you think about the user experience thing when it comes to creating a app that generates a very large number of downloads? Also give us general tips on what you think can help increase download rates for apps. Please turn on your camera when talking. Thank you.
Okay, so I would say there are lots of things that can help an app gain more users. Lots of them. Moyin and even you have like said some things already. So the testing, feedback, listening to users, good user onboarding, making sure that like all your screens, all your pages are like your landing page. Like there are lots of things to talk about. But I won't just speak about just one thing, and that's more around like testing, like always testing, like don't stop testing, and testing like can come in form of maybe getting feedback from people, doing maybe in-house testing, can be maybe going into the field to ask people some things. I don't know if we all know about this popular article by a guy called Gerald Spool. So there is this article that is called the $300 million button. So it was how a company made $200 million in revenue by just changing a button. So it was quite interesting to see. So it's like a shopping, it's an e-commerce site. So just so simple that the company, they were doing everything like in the right way. Everything was like going well. They felt that they have come built a great app, but something was just missing. They're not getting much maybe users. They were not maybe getting people like to buy products and all that. And the designers, the engineers, like everything was perfect. They kind of saw no, they didn't like see any issue at all. And the app was so simple and so on point, right? But you know that, the registration had like a simple, the login had a simple email, password, forgot your password, just a simple form before you can maybe engage with the people can buy anything on the platform. But they had to like to do something that was really interesting. Remember that before now, they never like knew what was causing people not to buy anything. But they had to like bring people in, give them the app, ask them like, oh, you have this clothes, try and see if you can buy this thing. And all the feedback they got from a user was more like, oh, I don't want to engage in a relationship with you. Just give me what I want to buy, and I'll buy and I'll leave. But you see that they try to like to block people from buying by putting login and registration fields, right? So just that simple, just by removing that button field, that field, like cause them to kind of like have like hundreds of millions of revenue, like dollars in revenue. So it was like quite like so interesting to see that just by changing a button or by moving something from this place to another place can make you like generate like and have like more users. So I would say testing is very key and getting feedback from people. So I think that's like more of like what I wanted like to maybe say. I can share the article maybe later on with everybody. Hello, are you there, Solomon? So even while we're waiting for him, I also encourage everyone, even if you're not a designer, even if you're not a user experience guy, I will encourage everyone to look at the book called "Don't Make Me Think" by Steve Crook. It's actually a very, very great book for anybody, whether you are an engineer, a program manager, like anything that you are. It's like a quick book that can help you understand how to think about people before like doing anything. And another good one also I will also recommend is the design of everyday things. It's more like a general concept around how you think about people in your daily lives and things you use like on a daily basis, and how they kind of really matter, and how to see them and approach physical products. But it kind of teach you more on how to always have users in mind. So these two books, I'm sure they will help you, even if you're not a designer, or maybe anything. I think to help you like maybe get up to speed on how to always think about people first. Hi, yes, Solomon, can you hear us?
Okay, since we know the questions already, maybe someone else should read them.
Yeah, so okay, maybe I'll just take over from here since no one is not here. So moving on, Moyin. So I'm looking through the. Oh, okay, someone is back. Let me leave this. Let me leave it for you. Okay, can continue, Solomon. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll quickly move on with some other questions. So I'm looking through to see the best one to ask Moyin. Okay, so someone asked if you could share more insights as regards testing, especially JUnit testing. I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Moyin.
Okay, is that all of the question?
Yeah, I think maybe you can just maybe talk maybe more around maybe testing and how maybe it's good to maybe do that. I think I can remember some time ago when you kind of say that, oh, that you are moving beyond just maybe learning how to code or building stuff, but like learning how to maybe understand maybe, the real architecture behind what you are doing and also how to like do better testing. So I think we can shed more light on that, why it's also important.
Okay. So are we ready to be here for like the next 1 hour? That was the question is too vague. Like there's a lot to say about testing. I'll try to summarize. So the main reason we even think of architecting Android apps is because we need to test. And when we do that, we structure our apps and make them in such a way that they're easy to test. That's why we also have libraries like Dagger, so that you won't be using the real components in it. Dagger will inject them for you, and you won't be testing your apps with like the real things. Testing is important because it like allows you to foresee whatever errors might happen, and you can correct them immediately before releasing your app to the user. You mentioned JUnit test. There's also Espresso test, but since you mentioned JUnit, I won't go into that. So what JUnit testing does is it tests all your functionality. It doesn't test the UI. It just tests that, okay, let's say you have an app that, I think this is a popular one. You use the GitHub API and you search for a list of users and then you display your app. So first of all, you want to test that your app connected to the API and you're getting a response. You want to test that your app handles the response correctly. You also want to test that your app displays the response. Not necessarily what it displays, but just that something is displayed. At least if you do that, you know that from your end, from the JUnit part, you, at least to an extent, satisfied your requirements. And I think it's also useful if you need to do some things like make some really breaking changes. Once you do that and then you have like 1,000, 10,000 tests and they all pass, you are at least best assured that what you did isn't going to break anything in production. And for Nigerian developers, I really hope we can adopt this because I've been around for a while now and I don't think I can, I don't think testing is as widespread as it should be now. All people care about is, we don't even have product managers. The business manager will come. Is the app working? It's working. Let's go live. That's not how development should be. You should care about what you are sending out to your users. And testing is one of the ways by which you can achieve that. That was a bit vague, but if I had a more structured question, I would have gone more in depth.
Oh wow, awesome! Thanks for sharing that. And like your how like she said that if she's maybe talk about testing, like even like maybe like an hour plus or even like a day kind of lecture. So I'm happy that she was able to shed a bit of light on JUnit testing. So moving on.
Well, sorry, before you go on, I'll just quickly state the libraries you need. I forgot to mention that. So if you want to test, you need Mockito, and then you need, depending on, if you're using Java, you need Mockito. If you're using Kotlin, you need Mockito too, because Mockito doesn't work with Kotlin because Kotlin has final classes. Then what else? You put your test in the test folder, not the Android test folder is for Espresso test, and then the test folder is for JUnit test. And then it's advisable you test every method and then test each use case. So if you have like an if statement, if this is this, do this, else do this. You want to test if that thing is true. You want to test if whatever you want to happen when that thing is true works. You want to test what happens when it is false, and you want to test what happens when you don't even get a response at all. So test all your edge cases right from your app before you push out, so that if your mind is at rest that your app works as intended. That's all about testing.
Oh wow, cool. I also love that you mentioned some tools that one could use. Moin, do you mind maybe after the call, maybe sharing with them the intermediate learners on their channel, maybe some of those tools that you mentioned?
Okay. And you know what? Can I have like a list of questions I need to answer after this, and then I will share whatever is needed for that. If there are any other tools from any of the things Segun or I mentioned earlier on, you can also ask that.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic. Okay, that's fantastic. So quickly, Emmanuel is asking, how could you handle server clients and communication by pulling requests? If there can be some resources that could help, could you please share?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, can you hear me now? What? How can you handle server client communication by using pulling requests? I don't know if you understand that at all.
Server client, are you talking of version control, like pull requests, or like server client APIs?
Maybe that's not clear. Okay, I would say maybe Emmanuel, could you please maybe rephrase your question and maybe be more specific, so she could maybe see how she'll answer that. But still, even if we go even after now, even if you still maybe shares maybe a better maybe structured question, I can still share with you maybe to answer later on. So
okay, no
let me go to the next one. So structuring of data using NoSQL DB. Okay, in structuring data using NoSQL DB, how do I structure it that makes a user access only specific messages that are sent in a particular node and not to all messages?
Okay, so thankfully I've touched on Firebase a bit, so I have so it's true, you have to touch everything, even if you don't go in depth and say that, just be able to answer questions about it. Yeah, so NoSQL is very interesting because there's no structure, and you really have to think about performance in this case, because if you structure your data in a way that what you're looking for is actually buried deep down in some other nodes, then your app could become really slow. So for this case, what was the question again? How do you structure? Yeah, so I was when you are using Firebase. If yes, you have a set of rules. I've not explored Firebase so much, so I can't really say a lot about it, but I know there are rules that you can set that prevents a user from accessing certain information. There are read and write rules, so if you don't allow the read access to that particular information, then your user won't be able to access it. I think you should check that out.
Okay, cool. I think we are getting some interesting questions that will require maybe you, Moyin, sharing maybe resources that might help people. So I think I also kind of keep that. I also note that down for when I'm sharing these things with you later on.
Okay. No
yeah, moving on. Okay, following up with the widget question.
Okay.
No log error. I need to show a list of items on the widget. What steps should I take? I don't know if that. If one needs to show a list of items on a widget, do you have like maybe on top of your head what step one should take? I'm sure this is like a jump question.
I was actually going to point you to Google, because the last time I did like 1 year ago. So I'll have to first read it up and then come back to you. But I'm sure this is a typical question that you'll get an answer online.
Yeah. So I would say you can try and okay.
But sorry, another thing to mention is that as Android devs, we don't want to be asking this kind of questions. Because it shows that if you are asked, okay, so I googled, I checked, I saw this answer, I tried it, it did not work. That would have been better than what steps do I do to show a list. So it's always, this is just a general answer now. It's always better for someone if, like, from someone you need help from, if you've shown that you've actually put in effort to check for what could work and you tried something and it did not work and then you need help, rather than how do I do this directly, because I'm sure there are lots of resources online to do that.
Okay.
So if you've tried something and it didn't work, then reach out to me on Slack. I would also do research and tell you what I find.
Okay, so I'll quickly jump to the next question. It was asked by Ben. But before that, I think I'd like to say, maybe share a bit of story. I remember back then when I want to when I maybe see a new language, maybe Java or maybe Python or maybe JavaScript, I see myself trying to learn all classes, all methods to use and maybe to build stuff. I'll just keep trying different methods, different APIs, and they're always interesting to try many of them. But Ben is asking that it feels like he's cramming like everything. That there are so many classes and methods to implement. That how do you go about learning them and it's sticking? Do you just maybe every day you go through all the maybe experiments, or maybe when you want to use a particular one, you just go ahead and can maybe reset and use? Or do you like maybe on a day-to-day basis maybe learn them every day? Like what's like your, and how do you go about learning these classes and methods and they stick and you know when to use them at each point in time?
Okay, so the first thing is Google is free and will always be free. So you can always go back and check for whatever classes you need to know. But what helps me is by working on a lot of projects with a wide range of applications, interesting applications. So you have, I'll assume everybody on this call is an employed Android dev, but even if you are not, you didn't do Nanodegree project. But you've done a couple of projects, you've done like 3 or 4 projects already, and I'm sure they weren't all the same thing. There was a baking app, it's only the baking app I know, but yeah, but the idea is every project is unique, and while it might do the same basic things, get data from the server and return data to the server. For some, the UI might be interesting. For some, different things make different apps. So the kind of apps you work, if you have a lot of side projects, it actually helps you. People don't say build portfolios for fun. They say it because every app is unique and every app presents a new learning experience. And sometimes it's better to just do these things for free. Okay, so we have like a 4-day holiday ahead of us. If I ask most of us what we want to do, I'm sure we want to complete. Okay, there's no Designated Survivor again, but we want to watch. What do people watch now? No, but seriously, I actually plan to use this to pick up Room that just came out, and then I want to play a bit more with Kotlin, and I want to, what else do I want to do? And check out the new architecture. That's like how I plan to use my own weekend. And another thing I do is, so just before this call, I put out something on Facebook. I'm actually volunteering to build an app for a non-profit for free. If you go online now, I'm sure you see it everywhere. And I'm doing that because work is interesting. Of course, my projects at work are very interesting. But I have a little bit of spare time. And I think I'm hoping that I find something not more challenging, because this is also challenging, but something different from what I do on a normal day. And there's no how I'll complete that kind of project and won't learn from it. I'm also making it open source, so I'll be pressured to, like, of course, my name is attached to it, so I want to push out code with best practices, and I'll be forced to look for the standard way of doing stuff. That's like really how I get up to speed. And then the Yoruba watch spaces, I didn't just build, I think it was on a Friday, same Friday evening after work, and there was a clock on the wall, and I was looking at it, and I don't know what popped into my head. I think I get my best ideas on Friday. Like
Oh.
can't listen all the time in Yoruba, and I started building prototypes. So stuff like that, a project here, a project there. It doesn't have to be a full app. Okay, so how do we implement Dagger? Let us build a small project around it, and you do it, push it to GitHub. Next tomorrow you pick Kotlin. Next tomorrow you pick Firebase. Doing stuff, little stuff like that, they all add up. And over time, do that for like 1 year, and you see how far you've come. So it's not like I have everything in my head. I couldn't answer the widget question. I'll still have to Google it because it's been a while. But by the time you play around projects different from what you do at work, you'll be able to talk a bit about everything. I hope that helps.
Wow, that's awesome. So I think one key thing I learned now is maximize your free times. Like now that we have 4 days holidays, try and see how you can maybe do something beyond just your normal routine. So I think that was quite insightful. So we're already running out of time, and it's been a great time having you. It's been amazing seeing you help these learners with their questions, and they have been going through the LC program for almost 3 months now, and they are almost at the point of completing the entire course and taking the Android fast track examination, which will make Google to see them as world-class Android devs. So I will really stop asking questions here. But Moyin, please, we'll share some of these questions with you, and maybe in your free time, you could just help share maybe more maybe insights about any of them that based on the one you feel like maybe say something on. And I think I would like to, so I'll just maybe use maybe 1 or 2 minutes to allow you to talk about maybe someone asked should we delve right into learning Kotlin? So I really want to maybe at least allow you, since you're like the one championing it in Nigeria and Africa, so I would like you to maybe end by maybe answering that question, and also we'll see how we can move on from there. And also before you answer the question, I really want to apologize on behalf of Solomon. He had technical challenges. That's why he did not drop off, but that's why he can't like continue presenting. So please bear with us on that too. So at least it's good that we have backup, backup everywhere, light backup, everything backup. So so it's good that we have a backup. So yeah. So should we delve right into learning Kotlin right now? Like, what's the advice?
Okay, it's like people like this Kotlin question. I actually watched the last talk and I saw you guys tackling Toki and Zim. And those are my guys. So that's on my channel. I think if at this stage I won't call anybody on this call a beginner Android developer. So you would have had like 2-3 years of experience with Java, and the way the Android world works, things change a lot. So please, we don't make AMRABA salaries yet. Like you're still in Nigeria, you still need to pay your rent. Please learn. If I was talking to the beginner Android developer, I would have said something different. But please learn this thing. You might not use it at work, totally fine. But you should be able to say something about it, because they said they are not changing anything now. Let's see what happens in 5 years. And if you plan to keep doing this as a career, you don't want to be left out, right? They created the language, and then for me, how I'll say it is they created language and then they gave us the tools to use. I think it's worth taking a look at it. You might not use it at work. Your boss might not even like it. But that side project you want to do it in Kotlin. Challenge yourself. It's actually very easy to learn. I read the book in like 1 day and I didn't know everything, but I got the grasp of what they were trying to say. So as a Nigerian dev to another Nigerian dev, intermediate dev, please learn this thing. Because you don't know what you'll be applying for that. In fact, I'm sure they'll start doing job requirements where the code base is totally in Kotlin. At work, we have 38% Kotlin code base already. And we are going to 100. Very soon, if you maybe want to get a job abroad or something, you might find the requirements. Kotlin will make you stand out. So please start learning, at least as I assume I'm talking to intermediate Android developers, start learning this thing. Just look at it and be able to say something about it. You don't need to know everything about it, but it's worth taking a look at. And then I also assume that we are people that are programmed for fun. We don't code because we want to eat. We code because we want to see things work. And if you are like that, then Kotlin is for you because they're kind of interesting to play with.
That's awesome. Thanks for that context, Moyin. And because of our time, I would just kind of apologize that we were able to pick everybody's questions, and be rest assured that we'll share them with Moyin, and she will help respond to maybe some or most of them in her own free time. So, and we'll be sharing that with everyone on the channel. So thank you once again, Moyin, for joining us. It's been a great time having you and Segun in the on the call. Really appreciate your sacrifice, your time, like everything so far in the LLC program. Thank you once more for making it to the call. And also, before we round up, I want to quickly share what we have like coming in the next week. So next week it's more like a mock week for the learners. So they're ending like this week is like they're ending and like watching or taking the courses online this week. Next week is more like a mock where they prepare for the actual exam that they have to write in 2 weeks time. From in 2 weeks time. So so learners, you guys should be aware that we have like some things already kind of maybe planned out for you. So you'll be having some graduates from the program in different regions come speak to you about how they went through how they went the experience taking the online course, that's the certification course, and then tips and maybe likely maybe 1 or 2 resources that might help you too. So be ready that we'll have multiple calls next week. It might be 2 or 1. It might be an AMS session on Slack. But be ready that next week is like it will be action packed, more of like ways to help you and get certified, like best prepare you to get certified. And we also want you to start thinking. So we have been discussing how could we hold meetups where we are learning from. So we want you to start thinking of how you can maybe come to a particular place, meet some other learners in the intermediate track to practice, to learn, to discuss issues, concerns before the exam. And we'll be sharing a date that we want everyone to have like a meetup, like a cluster meetup across Nigeria, depending on where you're learning from. But we'll give you that breakdown later on. But it will be happening in 2 weeks' time. So, but we'll give you like the exact date later on. So, thank you all for making it for today's call. Questions that were not answered, we will try and make sure that Moyin, I know she's very busy, but she will help us at least answer the maybe technical ones, and also share resource sites that will help you guys as you keep forging ahead. So thank you everyone for joining. I don't know if the program assistants have maybe other things to say. And Solomon, since you're back on now, so let me pass the mic back to you. PAs before Solomon.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
And maybe final words from Moyin. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wow. Okay. So I've been speaking all the way. So I don't know what was wrong, but thanks so much, Aneki, for helping to handle the situation effectively. Once again, thanks Moyin for joining the call. It was really great having you on the call. Thanks everyone for making out time to join this call. We are already 9 minutes into the next hour. So I think it's just fine if we just go off at this point. But as Moyin and Segun has rightly said, let us not stop learning. Continue to use resources that we have online to study. We'll find opportunities to get tools from Moyin and Segun, resources they can share to show you guys on Slack, and follow up with you going forward. On this note, I'll say thank you very much for joining, and if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to say bye-bye.
All right. All the best in your exams. And don't worry, I'll brag about you guys. We have 35 Android developers, have we?
Yes.
Yeah. All the best, and keep learning. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
We are still